Do you know what this thing is? This is a VHS, a video cassette recorder, also known as a VCR. Haven't seen one of these in a very long time, as I no longer own one. Look at this, man. There's a tape inside as well. I don't know what it is, but look at this. Old school technology for the win. A lot of great nostalgic memories watching Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and Yu Yu Hakusho VHS tapes back in the early 2000s. Pretty awesome. So, VHS, VCR for the win. Tilting the camera to the left side, we have a DVD player. I'm pretty sure it's self-explanatory because you all know what DVD is, digital video disc. And you know it's DVD. I mean, like I said, self-explanatory. But you may be wondering, what's the point in all this? Well, we're going to be talking about another anime company of the past. What company that may be? 4Kids Entertainment. I'm B-Dub, the Anime Master. Intro, start.
B-Dub, the Anime Master. B-Dub, the Anime Master. B-Dub, the Anime Master. B-Dub, the Anime Master. Dragon Ball Z, the Anime Master. Here we go, the Anime Master. Dragon Ball Z, the Anime Master. Here we go, the Anime Master.
4Kids Entertainment was one of the biggest anime distributors of the time, back in the late 90s and early 2000s. And the reason why I say that is because 4Kids had rights to a lot of very popular anime titles. For example, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Not to mention they picked up anime titles like One Piece, Shaman King, Ultimate Muscle, F-Zero, Kirby, and all kinds of anime titles. The number one known thing for 4Kids Entertainment was the Pokemon license. Pokemon was a very huge license for 4Kids back in the day. It made a crap ton of money, not only in anime, VHS, and DVD sales, but video games, merchandise, and etc. It was crazy. Then a few years later, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Craze. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I have various memories of 4Kids Entertainment, you know, back in the early 2000s and the late 90s, watching Pokemon, collecting the Pokemon VHS tapes, and of course the Pokemon cards. And 4Kids Entertainment had very, very, very controversial business practices when it came to dubbing their anime titles. They would edit the living shit out of that particular anime property. Now, Pokemon didn't suffer with too many edits. Of course, there were some skipped episodes and stuff like that, like the Porygon episode and etc. But the main edits for the Pokemon anime, from what I remember and done a little bit of research on, was the music edits, of course, the opening and endings, some of the background music, and that's pretty much it. They didn't do too much editing, maybe a little bit of Americanizing on like certain foods that the human characters would eat. But Pokemon was pretty, you know, kind of like PG rated, so it wasn't like chopped to bits like Shaman King was chopped up pretty badly. And of course, the notorious 4Kids Entertainment license of all time as far as major edits and destruction, One Piece. I remember back in 2004 when 4Kids had announced that they had the rights to One Piece. I was in shock. I thought Funimation was going to get it, and supposedly Funimation and Viz and some other companies bidded for One Piece, but 4Kids had that Pokemon money and they snatched up One Piece from everybody. And it was just shocking, and I knew they were going to edit One Piece, and lo and behold, they edited the living shit out of it. I mean, the edits was hilarious, turning Sanji's cigarette into a lollipop, editing pretty much like 90% of the violence, all these crazy ass suction cups, and you know, editing out the sword violence and all kinds of crazy 4Kids edits. You can look it up on the internet. The direction for the show under 4Kids was just fucking terrible and just bad. Now, I would say that 4Kids' Pokemon dub is tolerable. It's okay. And I do like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dub the 4Kids did as well. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise also suffered some heavy edits and, you know, a couple storyline changes here and there. Not heavy storyline changes, but like some, you know, dialogue and, you know, stuff like that that kind of made things more, I guess you can say PG-ish. And Yu-Gi-Oh! I wouldn't say Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like a hard R or anything like that, but 4Kids did make some pretty drastic changes from time to time. Not to mention the strange edits of the cards and stuff like that. Another controversial business practice from 4Kids is that they always replace the original Japanese scores. All of the original Japanese music from, One Piece and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Shaman King were deleted, and they had brought in their own composers to recreate a soundtrack for those shows. Now, I will admit that the 4Kids soundtrack for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is pretty damn good. Now, don't get me wrong, I do prefer the original Japanese soundtrack to Yu-Gi-Oh! But the 4Kids efforts that they did, at least for Yu-Gi-Oh! Was pretty decent. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'd sit here and just be like, fuck you 4Kids, everything they did was bad. I did like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Soundtrack that they did for the original English dubs of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. The Shaman King music wasn't that memorable. The only memorable thing for Shaman King was the opening song, the English dub opening song, and that's pretty much it. As far as the One Piece tracks, I mean, come on. The original One Piece music is fantastic. The background music and the opening songs and the closing songs. 4Kids Entertainment created the One Piece rap, the notorious One Piece rap, for their opening and ending for the English dub version of their version of One Piece. And it was hilarious and very cringeworthy, but you gotta admit, still kind of catchy. But 4Kids Entertainment, in the anime industry for quite a while, they always snatched up certain titles and they will always edit them for American broadcast standards. But you have to keep it real, is that they didn't have to really edit those titles like that. I mean, other companies were able to release, TV edit versions and then uncut version on home video, like what Funimation was doing with Dragon Ball Z. 4Kids Entertainment could have done the same thing and did a TV edit version for Yu-Gi-Oh! Shaman King and One Piece, and did an uncut version on home video. As a matter of fact, 4Kids did attempt it with Yu-Gi-Oh! Uncut DVDs and Shaman King, but they claim that they didn't sell well and they just canceled the uncut DVDs. Now, in my opinion, I think that was false information. I mean, who knows? But I believe that they didn't want the edited versions and the uncut versions to be on the shelves at the same time and have the uncut versions make the most money. Because believe me, most people want to see Yu-Gi-Oh! And Shaman King uncut. And I think in their minds at the time, as a company, they wanted the edited versions to sell more anyway. As of right now, there is no way to collect the Shaman King dub-only version or the 4Kids dub version of Shaman King. I hope somebody can pick that up and give us a release. Maybe Discotek Media can release the dub version of Shaman King and then the uncut subtitle version. I would love for a redub of Shaman King, but who knows if that shit's gonna happen. But overall, I do remember 4Kids Entertainment. They even had their own block, Fox Block, Foxbox, and 4Kids TV, and CW for Kids. I mean, 4Kids was a huge company, and then, 4Kids Entertainment ended and, defunct as a company due to various reasons. And now they are just a anime distributor for just, well, not a full-fledged anime distributor, but they distribute they are still in charge of, some of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Properties through 4K Media as they are right now, and through Konami as well. I mean, it was cool to bring these shows and make them popular on television and with American audiences. I have to give them that type of credit. But at the same time, their business practices at the time was just fucking awful. But hey, 4Kids Entertainment, they want to turn everything 4Kids. Imagine if they grabbed a title like Gantz or Rurouni Kenshin. How laughable would have been the edits for those titles. Anyway, 4Kids was cool at the time, and hey, we have great memories and great memes and great nostalgic adventures of 4Kids Entertainment. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on 4Kids Entertainment as an anime company for the R1 industry? Well, back in the day. I'm B-Dub, the Anime Master. Check out my Facebook fan page and follow me on Twitter. Links are in the description. Stay tuned for more anime, manga, and video game related videos. Peace.
Dragon Ball Z, the Anime Master. Here we go, the Anime Master. Dragon Ball Z, the Anime Master. Here we go.